On the news, Edo Assembly suspends Shaibu's ally, 2 lawmakers over plots to impeach Speaker. Ikeja Electric slashes electricity tariff for Band A customers to 206 naira per kilowatt hour. And 80% of buildings in Lekki have no government approval, Commissioner reveals. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Sinisola Atigun. But there seems to be no end in sight to the Edo State political crisis as the State House of Assembly Monday suspended 3 lawmakers over an alleged plot to impeach the Speaker and other principal officers. The Speaker, Blessing Agbebaku, who announced the suspension at the resumption of plenary in Benin, alleged that the lawmakers, all members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), were being used by some external forces to cause chaos in the House and to plot the removal of the leadership of the House. The pronouncement led to a rowdy session at the House as the lawmakers tried to challenge their suspension while questioning the Speaker's unilateral decision. The Speaker thereafter adjourned plenary abruptly. This comes shortly after the Assembly impeached Philip Shaibu as the Deputy Governor after the report of a 7-member investigative panel was adopted. Shaibu was accused of misconduct, perjury and disclosure of government secrets. With the ongoing criticisms directed at the Lagos State government regarding the demolition of structures and shanties in the Lekki area of the state, the Commissioner for Environment in Lagos, Tokunbo Wahab, has asserted that the demolished structures were located outside the city's master plan. The Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development in Lagos additionally highlighted that 80% of buildings in the Ibejuleki area of the state lack government approval. It says the demolished structures were erected in contravention of the city's master plan and were never approved by the relevant agencies and occluded drainage channels. In an interview with journalists, Olumide said despite the rigorous procedures involved in securing government approval, property developers and owners are still circumventing due process. The Lagos State government has been facing backlash for demolitions of buildings and shanties across the state, with the recent one at Mende, Maryland. The government has continued to issue notices to owners of buildings with no approval, while some have been demolished upon the expiration of the notice. Earlier, I spoke to the chairman, Nigeria Institution of Civil Engineers, Lagos State Chapter, Faith Oko Ukoni, on the high number of building demolitions in Lagos State. I began by asking her thoughts on the state's property ownership regulation.
If the commissioner says 80%, I guess the commissioner has his figures. And how were they allowed? Are we sure they were allowed? Okay. Because we have a lot of people that do things on their own. And you know, Ibejuleki started developing recently. So it's possible the agencies and the government officials didn't get to that area, or people have taken the process in their own hands and done what they want to do. So you really can't say that they didn't know or approvals were not given or something. But you know us. We know us when we want to do some of the things. We have our ways of doing that. So when the government wasn't able to catch or get to them until now, that a lot of things have begun to unfold.
Now, it seems like almost all parts of Lagos are filled with unapproved buildings. Now, do you think that there's something not right with the state's property ownership regulation?
I wouldn't say that, but I would say that our people, or we, the masses, are not doing things right because we are not going to the right sources. And you know, there's hunger in town. So we really don't, most times they go to the wrong sources and everybody wants to make money, get away, and they go ahead. So I would employ people to go to the right sources, get the right information. We have designated places where you can get the right information so that you really know what you're doing. Before you start your building, before you start your processes, there is what is called checking. And they need to check these things for you to be sure that the area you want to build is mapped out, because Lagos State has these things mapped out. They have plans. It's just that we're not maximizing them. We're not asking questions in the right places. We're not going to the right source, so we don't get the right information. And it's really painful what is happening. But then the state has to move, because development is unavoidably something you just have to embrace. Lagos is going to be a smart city. We even have the issue of the coastal area. You know, we are coastal areas, and the rainy seasons are here again. There's been a lot of projection about flooding. So these things are something we have to really check. And we're trusting God that the government will be able to, be able to curb them. But some of these things are in the way if they are not dealt with now. It's painful. We show empathy. But when flooding starts, we have more disaster in our hands. It's still lives that will be lost. And this is going to be large work for us to deal with. And it's still we that we are crying. We'll still be the ones complaining or crying then that the government is not doing anything. So we are appealing to the populace. Please engage the right professionals. Go to the right sources. Get your information right before you take your decision, before you embark on any building. Lagos is going smart, and a lot of things are going to be happening because development just has to happen and it's sustainable. So we must, whatever we need to do to make it sustainable is what the government is after.
The federal government has approved a downward review in electricity tariff for Band A electricity consumers with a minimum supply of 20 hours daily from 225 naira per kilowatt hour to 206 naira per kilowatt hour. Back in March, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission had increased the tariff paid by Band A customers from 68 naira per kilowatt hour to 225 naira per kilowatt hour. In a circular released by the management of the distribution company Disco on Monday, May 6, 2024, Ikeja Electric assured customers under Band A of a guaranteed supply of electricity for 20 to 24 hours daily. The management says the decision to slash tariffs for Band A customers underscores Ikeja Electric's commitments to enhancing customer satisfaction and ensuring affordable access to electricity. It, however, said that electricity tariffs for bands B, C, D, and E customers remained unchanged without adducing any reason. The ongoing debate surrounding Nigeria's minimum wage negotiations has generated reactions from various stakeholders in the country with questions on the feasibility and sustainability of 615,000 naira. Organized labor has insisted that the living wage should be 615,000 naira per month and also proposes a shift from the current 5-year renegotiation cycle to yearly adjustments based on inflation rates. Lending his thoughts on the matter, the Chief Executive Officer, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Muda Yusuf, says the current minimum wage has caused discontent among workers, which have manifested in strikes, protests, and other forms of collective action. He says an increase is based on economic pressures and competing interests.
No, that figure is not realistic. Because when we are making a request, we also need to be very realistic. We need to also be able to be sure that it's something that is sustainable. We need to be sure that it's something that is affordable by whoever is going to pay. Of course, I don't see the government being able to pay that much. Although I've had some of the labor leaders say, well, that this is just a bargaining strategy, and they have to set it high so that by the time the thing comes down, maybe it will come down to something much more conducive or much more comfortable for them. So I don't think that is realistic. But again, we need to ensure that we pay a living wage. For goodness sake, even 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira, it's not up to $100 for a whole month, for a whole family. Given what the inflation situation is,
yes, for
a family of 4, what can 100,000 do these days? Particularly if you are residing in the cities. Say in Lagos or Abuja, Port Harcourt, some of these cities that are very expensive. Even transportation alone within a month, we have taken almost 30% of that amount.
That's true.
You have to pay school fees, you have to eat, you have to pay house rent. How are you going to cope? So we also need to give a human face to all of these issues. We need to be fair to everybody. This salary that these public sector workers are talking about, what they earn in a year, is what some people of equivalent qualification are earning in a month. You can check some sectors. So why is it that when we are now talking about the public sector, we want to move salary from maybe 100,000 to 200,000? That is where we now be talking about inflation. I don't think that is fair.
As part of efforts to prevent flooding in some communities in Lagos, residents of New Okwuoba in Abule Egba have called on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to provide swift assistance in repairing the inner roads and drainage systems. The chairman, Akorede Community Development Area, Lukman Nusiru, says the bad roads and erosion caused by heavy rainfall has crippled movement in the area, leaving residents and business owners stranded. Speaking on behalf of residents in the area, Nasiru appealed to the Lagos State government for urgent help to prevent the community from becoming completely abandoned.
For the past 2 decades now, 20 years, we've been feeling this flood problem. And every year, in and out, it's getting worse and worse. Yes, the government of Lagos State have been trying their effort. We are still hopeful that the Lagos State government needs to come to our rescue to elevate this perennial flood that's ravaging our community. Personally, we've been donating money. Physically, we've been clearing the available drainage. We've been writing to the various governments that are in charge of drainage. The ministry, director of drainage, promising upon promising. And every year are good enough that the rain has not started heavily. Had it been, the rain has been at its peak. Where we are standing, that we'll not be able to stand where we are now.
It's pathetic, and it's also unexpected because I got here 2 weeks after I got here was when I noticed that the area gets this flooded. You know, it's very terrible. When it gets flooded, you can't come out of your house, and you can't even come into your house if you're outside. It's not a thing of using a rain boot. A rain boot doesn't solve the problem. It gets to your lap level. You know, that was what I experienced, and it just rained for like 2.5 hours that day, and it was that bad.
The transformative initiative of the federal government through the student loan scheme towards fostering an inclusive development for a prosperous nation has continued to draw commendations. Expressing its satisfaction with the initiative as a public interest group, the Emerging Leaders Forum of Nigeria at a press briefing in Abuja. President of the Youth Forum, God's Time Samuel, described the initiative as a beacon of hope and opportunity for future generations.
We must not fail to thank Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila for initiating and facilitating this transformative initiative, which epitomizes a concerted effort to foster acceptability to higher education for Nigerian students, irrespective of financial constraints. By championing the Students' Loan Scheme, these esteemed leaders have demonstrated their dedication to nurturing the next generation of leaders and innovators, paving the way for a brighter future for our nation. L4 recognizes the profound impact that the student loan scheme will have on boosting educational activities and opportunities and driving socio-economic advancement across Nigeria. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila and Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, including Mr. President, for their exemplary leadership and commitment to youth empowerment and development in Nigeria. Furthermore, we also want to use this opportunity to express our displeasure over recent insensitive publications, cyberbullying, and criminal defamatory publications against the respected office holders like the Chief of Defense Intelligence, the Minister of State Defense, His Excellency Bello Matawale, and the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. It is despicable that even with the enormous efforts of these leaders in the present administration of Mr. President to put the country back on the pedestal of glory, some elements of discord have decided to misuse the freedom of speech we enjoy for their own selfish desires. We do hereby counsel them to discard such thoughts and, like in other democratic and civil climes, embrace dialogue on any issue as regards government.
We'll take a break now. When News Now returns, Nigeria's 4x400 meters relay teams qualify for 2024 Paris Olympics. Stay with us for details. We'll be back shortly.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Digi 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Digi 360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. The Edo State House of Assembly has suspended 3 lawmakers over an alleged plot to impeach the Speaker and other principal officers. The Speaker, Blessing Agbe Baku, who announced the suspension at the resumption of plenary in Benin, alleged that the lawmakers, all members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), were being used by some external forces to cause chaos in the House and to plot the removal of the leadership of the House. The pronouncement led to a rowdy session at the House as the lawmakers tried to challenge their suspension while questioning the Speaker's unilateral decision. The Speaker thereafter adjourned plenary abruptly. We also told you that the federal government has approved a downward review in electricity tariff for Band A consumers with a minimum supply of 20 hours daily from 225 naira per kilowatt hour to 206 naira per kilowatt hour. Back in March, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) had increased the tariff paid by Band A customers from 68 naira per kilowatt hour to 225 naira per kilowatt hour. The management says the decision to slash tariffs for Band A customers underscores Ikeja Electric's commitment to enhancing customer satisfaction and ensuring affordable access to electricity. And in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store, on Facebook or at TV360 online. Well, it's time for business news. Joy Uchejim is on standby to keep us updated. What's the latest, Joy?
Thank you, Simi. Welcome to Business News. Now, the Vice President Kashim Shettima is billed to attend the 2024 U.S.-Africa Business Summit in the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center in Dallas, Texas. Shettima will represent President Bola Tinubu at the event. In a statement on Sunday, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Stanley Nwokocha, said Shettima will join other political and business leaders across the Africa, the U.S., and beyond at the summit. The spokesperson further disclosed that Shettima is scheduled to speak on a high-level panel on agribusiness, focusing on transiting from food insecurity to thriving agribusinesses. Still on business, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation has announced revisions to the maximum deposit insurance coverage for banks across the country. Under the new guidelines, NDIC coverage for deposit money banks has increased from 500,000 naira to 5 million naira. Similarly, coverage for microfinance banks has been raised from 200,000 naira to 2 million naira, while primary mortgage banks also see an increase in coverage. Managing Director of NDIC, Bello Hassan, announced these changes during a press briefing in Abuja, saying that the adjustments are aimed at bolstering depositor safety, public trust, financial service inclusivity, and overall stability within the financial sector.
I must emphasize that the revised deposit insurance coverage has balanced the NDIC's goal of deposit protection and financial system stability with incentives for depositors to practice market discipline and prevent banks from unnecessary risk-taking and moral hazard. Consideration was also to ensure that the coverage was limited but adequate enough to protect large number of depositors and credible enough to prevent the destabilizing effect of bank runs. As part of the periodic evaluation of the effectiveness of the deposit guarantee, the corporation conducted a study in 2023 to determine the adequacy of the maximum deposit insurance coverage. This is in line with Principle 8 of the International Association of Deposit Insurers core principles for effective deposit insurance, which advise jurisdictions to periodically review their deposit insurance coverage to ensure that it is credible and cover large majority of depositors to prevent risk of bank runs, but leave a substantial amount of depositors exposed to market discipline.
We'll take a short break and be back with stock market reports. It's the first weekday of trading and Nigeria's stock market ended on a bearish note, reducing slightly at 0.89% with the market cap at 55.83 trillion naira. In total, Monday's trade had 125 NGX listed equities participating in trading and ended with 38 gainers and 18 losers. On the losing side, Airtel Africa came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 1,918 naira per share, followed by Burgers Paint, which recorded a 9.9% drop from its previous closing of 13.70 kobo, ending at 12 naira 35 kobo. Now, at the end of the first weekday of trading on the NGX, a total of 421 million shares in 10,624 deals were exchanged in a market value of 8,953 naira, compared with the previous NGX trading day, which was Friday, May 3rd. Today's data shows 6% decline in volume, 26% improvement in turnover, and 14% improvement in deals. Now I switch to our select global stock. The UK's FTSE remained unchanged at 0.51% as they celebrated the early May bank holiday on the 6th of May 2024. Japan's Nikkei also remained unchanged at 0.099% as they celebrated Children's Day, leaving just the US Dow Jones in the bulls at 0.057%. Now let's take a quick look at our foreign exchange market. The US dollar traded at 1,383 naira 7 kobo on the official market and at 1,435 naira on the black market. The Great British Pound traded at 1,735.61 kobo on the official market and traded at 1,800 on the black market. And lastly, the euros traded at 1,489.15 kobo on the official market and traded at 1,500 naira on the black market. That's it on both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Joy. And on the foreign scene, voters in Chad headed to the polls on Monday to cast their ballot in a long-delayed presidential election that is set to end 3 years of military rule under interim President Mahamat Debi Itno, who seized power after his father, who ran the country for more than 3 decades, was killed fighting rebels in 2021. Last year, the government announced it was extending the 18-month transition for 2 more years, which provoked protest across the country. There are 10 candidates on the ballot, including a woman. Some 8 million people are registered to vote in a country of more than 17 million people, one of the poorest in the world. Still on the foreign scene, President Xi Jinping has arrived in France on his first trip to Europe in 5 years, which is likely to be dominated by Russia's war in Ukraine as well as economic strains between Beijing and Brussels. The first stop will be France, with Xi due to hold talks in Paris on May 6 with French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen before traveling south to Pyrenees. Xi will also travel to Serbia and Hungary, two countries that have maintained close ties with Russia despite its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Well, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
Actress Wofai Fada on Monday declared that the union between her and her groom Taiwo Cole shall be permanent. In a Monday post via her Instagram handle, she shared more traditional photos of herself and her newly wedded husband Taiwo, a son of the prominent Cole family of Victoria Island, Lagos. The union announcement over the weekend has caused much controversy as there has been conflict between Wofai Fada and the Cole family. While Taiwo and his bride have decided to tie the knot, Cole's family says they are unaware of any union and did not grant permission. Nollywood actress Habibat Jinad have accepted an apology from her colleague Wunmi Toriola, marking the end of their 5-year feud. Earlier, Wunmi, sharing a photo of her, had publicly expressed remorse to Habibat, expressing regret for their prolonged feud, and also admitted to frequently checking Habibat's Instagram to see updates about her newborn Okikiola. Reacting to this, Habibat reveals that she noticed Wunmi's recent follow on Instagram and couldn't withhold not following her back. Expressing gratitude, Habibat mentioned praying for peace and harmony, especially as she approached her 40th birthday, and was grateful that her prayers had been answered. And that's it on Entertainment News on News Now. Joy Uchejim, TV360, Lagos.
On sports, Team Nigeria has secured places at the Paris Olympics in both the mixed 4x400 meters relay and the men's 4x400 event. In the early hours of Sunday morning, the two relay teams clinched automatic qualification spots at the ongoing World Relays in the Bahamas. During the heat, both Nigeria and the United States dominated the competition, leaving other competitors behind. Well, that's all on News Now. Many thanks for watching. See you next time.